What's holding the Cowboys back?
I think there's three things for the Cowboys.
Okay.
I think the owner gets in the way too much. They won four playoff games in the last 30 years after Jimmy and Barry Switzer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want owners doing press conferences after the game right outside the locker room. I don't want owners doing radio shows on Monday afternoon giving me the state of the Cowboys. So I think the owner gets in the way. That's number one.
Okay.
Mike McCarthy, listen, a nice man, and he won a Super Bowl, fair. But were you happy with Mike McCarthy if you're a Cowboy fan this year? With the penalties throughout the whole season that was never corrected, and then the 14 penalties, of course, in the playoff game against San Francisco. Basic mistakes. Do they drill properly? You think Lombardi is going to put up with that? You think Jimmy Johnson's going to put up with it? How about Belichick? You think he's going to allow a team to commit 14 penalties in a playoff game? If they committed penalties all season long, he'd get that corrected. But number three, and this is a bigger issue, I'm not as high in this quarterback as everybody else is.
What?
Everybody thinks that because he's on the Dallas Cowboys, you get overrated. Well, he's a Cowboy. He's wearing a star. He's Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was not good against San Francisco. Dak Prescott didn't know the rule on making sure the umpire handled the ball before the last play of the game when he ran out of time. He didn't know the rule. Bottom line is, now you can blame that on McCarthy, but the quarterback did not know the rule that the umpires got to touch the ball and place it down before you go out there and run another play. And that's why they ran out of time. Give me a game on the road that Dak Prescott went out there and played great football in a postseason spot. I'll give you a game a couple years ago in Philadelphia, playoffs on the line, played badly. Give me a game on the road. The game in L.A. a few years ago did not play great in that game. Certainly didn't play great here. Was outplayed by Rodgers when Green Bay played in Dallas. Give me the game in a big spot where you said to yourself, this is a big-time quarterback in the NFL. He's not as good as Burrow. He's not as good as Herbert. He's not as good as, obviously, I don't know if he's not as good as Stafford. He's not as good as Mahomes. He's not as good as Rodgers. I mean, he maybe, if I pushed it, maybe he's around 10 as far as the NFL quarterbacks are concerned, best quarterbacks in the league.
That is ridiculous.
Pushed it.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I mean, come on, man.
All right. Do the math. What quarterbacks? Let me hear.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy DMV back with another one, man. And you know, unfortunately, man, I ran across this, and I really just don't watch daytime TV because they just be making up stuff, man. You know, ESPN, all these talking heads, they're running out of things to talk about, and let's see if we can get this Cowboys audience riled up, and that's what they did, man. And this guy right here, Chris Russo, I don't know who the hell he is. I'm glad I don't know who the hell he is because he sounded like a complete buffoon on national TV. And you know, I mean, he had 3 points that he brought up as to what was holding back the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones being number one. I think that was spot on. I'll give him credit for being the broken clock that was right twice a day. You know, I'll give him credit for that. Jerry Jones is in the way. Bringing up the history of since Jimmy Johnson left, 4 playoff games. He's absolutely correct in that regard. He's absolutely correct. I couldn't say anything against that point at all. But Mike McCarthy, I thought that it was unfair the way that he came at Mike McCarthy. The reason that I say that is, if you're going to compare Mike McCarthy and say that Mike McCarthy is a bad coach, don't compare him to the greatest of all time. Compare him to somebody you don't think is the greatest of all time, or somebody that started at the time that he did and has done better with their time than he has. Or talk about one of these young guys that have came up and that have won a Super Bowl, that have won more Super Bowls, or that have done more than him in their short time. But don't use the greatest of all time as a measuring stick. In any debate, that right there is weak. Using the best of all time to point to why somebody else isn't as good. You know what I'm saying? That right there, there were a whole bunch of coaches out there that you could have used. You could have used McVay. I mean, hell, if you thought Sean Payton was a better coach, you could have used Sean Payton, because they've been around the same amount of time. They've had about the same type of success. If you felt like Sean Payton wouldn't have had his team in that situation with all the penalties, you could have used that. But you used the greatest of all time, and that just makes your points look even weaker. And third, saying that Dak Prescott is overrated. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? Like, our fan base, we're so upset that Dak Prescott didn't show up in the San Francisco game. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? I get the frustration. But we got to stop letting clowns like this have a platform saying wrong stuff. Because he named quarterbacks, but he didn't give them the same type of flack for not having success. Joe Burrow was named. Sure, I agree with that. Herbert was named second. Why was Herbert over a lot of these other quarterbacks out there that are better than Herbert? Why was Herbert number 2? Stafford was in the Super Bowl, sure. He had great coaching. And he was the next in the list. But why is Herbert above Mahomes? Why is Herbert above Rodgers? Of the guys that you named, Herbert hasn't done jack-ish in the league. Herbert hasn't done anything. He lost to Dak. He lost to Dak. Why are you naming Herbert? What has Herbert done in any of these big games? He lost to the Raiders. So let's go back to your argument. Dak Prescott lost. He got outplayed by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, for one, Aaron Rodgers made one of the best throws in history. Like Stephen A. said, it's damn crazy when Stephen A. Smith is arguing for a Cowboy. But Aaron Rodgers, Dak gets held accountable for Aaron Rodgers in that game by you, but Herbert ain't held accountable for that blunder against the Raiders to end the season. See, Dak, it was held against Dak for losing against Philadelphia, but it wasn't held against Justin Herbert for losing against the Raiders, when all they had to do was get a tie and they were in the playoffs. Dak gets held accountable for throwing the ball to the ref, but Justin Herbert, he ain't held accountable for that game against the Raiders, which was the biggest game in his career. You get what I'm saying? Bro, y'all got to stop this Cowboy narrative. And then these Cowboy fans, oh yeah, well Dak is over. You allowing clowns like that to have a platform. You know what I'm saying? At least have some information that makes sense to where you don't got to go back in circles. And then we want to name Aaron Rodgers. Cool. I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But he ain't won jack without Mike McCarthy. So how you going to talk trash about Mike McCarthy, but then let Aaron Rodgers slide? He had an even worse performance against the San Francisco 49ers than Dak did. On top of all of that, when they pressed him out, when Molly pressed him out to give a list of guys that were better, he couldn't even do it. You didn't even have a list in front of you, champ. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. You know what I'm saying? I told myself that I really wasn't going to get riled up, but you know what? I had to put some content out, man. And I just want to hear what you guys have to say about these comments. I played the clip. I gave you my take on it, which I thought that it was clown talk. And I just felt like they just needed to fill up some space. And it's going to be that time this year, y'all, where they got to fill some time. They got to fill some space. And they're just going to say the most ass backwards stuff about the Cowboys just to make it stick on the wall. But let me know what y'all think, man. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.